Hello friends, welcome to Step Up Academy. So continuing with our geography optional paper discussion, I think I have covered till question 6 till now. So in this video, I'll be covering up remaining questions, next set of questions I would rather say, because it's been exhaustive to work upon the model answers. ठीक है ऐसा नहीं कि directly chat GPT करो और answers मिल जाते. You have to be very precise while writing geography optional paper answers. It's not your GS paper. Okay, so we'll start with question number 7A. Give geographical account of factors affecting the location of industry. So it is asking give geographical account. If you observe the entire question paper, most of the places it has been written the geographical account. Okay, so do not forget to put in about some geographical aspect, like for example talking about some places. Okay, for example, if you're now it is asking about location of industries, so give names of some locations which have some industrial regions. Okay, dominant industrial regions. For example, if I talk about in India, Pune is known for its automobile sector. Then in Haryana we have some districts which are known for this thing. Then Ludhiana in Punjab, wherein we have some manufacturing industries and all. Okay, so then Uttar Pradesh we have some defense industries and all. Okay, so you have to talk about the geographical aspects as well. Don't forget to give the names. I'm here talking only about the Indian regions, but you can also talk about some international regions. International, I mean to say, some foreign countries. For example, the Ruhr province of Germany. It is well known. Then the Texas of USA, California of USA, which are known for their industries. Okay, the factors that are affecting their location of industries. So do not forget to mention about the different places. So let's talk about the industrial location. So if we talk about industrial locations, they are nothing but they are the spatial organization of economic activities, and here it is asking about the factors. So there are different factors which are affecting the location of industries. For example, the raw material, that is the resources, then the transportation facilities that are available. For example, nowadays we often hear in news about dedicated freight corridors, we often hear in news about expressways. Okay, so they are nothing but they are the transportation networks. The more the efficient the transportation networks, more will be the local location of the industries present around it. Then the next factor is the labor. Okay, the cost of labor is very important in determining the location of industries. For example, initially all most of the industrialization which took place, it took place in the western nations. For example, western part of Europe, and you can say the USA and America. Okay, but slowly and steadily the industries from that region, they have now migrated towards the Asian side. It is because of the factor of cost of labor. Okay, then next is the markets. If we talk about markets, initially the per capita income of the people in the western countries was quite high, so the market present over there was quite high. But slowly and steadily the eastern markets are now rising. For example, if I talk about India, India is the largest country with the largest population. So market is available over here, ready market is available over here for different types of goods. For example, nowadays we see in most of the metropolitan cities, we see people purchasing processed food. Okay, cornflakes, winflakes, you people might be eating. Okay, so processed food, so ready market is available. So depending upon that, the location of industry will also change. Then technology is yet another factor because of which we find the change in the location of the industries. Then policy factors also play an important role in shaping the location of the industry. So you can simply summarize all these factors in the introduction itself. ठीक है, वही की वही लिख दो, so that the examiner or the evaluator gets to know कि हाँ भाई, he is aware, he or she is aware about the factors affecting the location of industries. Okay, then you can move about, say, since it is talking about geographical account and it is an optional paper, write some brief about that entire concept of industrial location. ठीक है, पैराग्राफ फॉर्मेट में लिखो, ज्यादा इफेक्टिव रहेगा. So industrial location, then there I've also talked about you should always include the names of the some of the geographers. So if you talk about the industrial location theory, it was given by different scholars, different geographers. So most important among them is the Alfred Weber, who talked about the least cost principle and all. Then we have August Laws, then we have Walter Christoller, then we have Smith, which they have talked about the location of industries. So Alfred Weber's, we have the least cost theory. Just put in the concept in over here. What is industrial location, the concept associated with, and the geographers associated with it. Then we will move into the actual demand of the question, that is the factors affecting the location of industry. So most prime factor for any industrial location, that is the raw material. If you talk about nowadays, industries are mostly tech based, but in the you can say industrial revolution eras, the first industrial revolution, second, third industrial revolution, the most important was the manufacturing industry. Second, up till second, we have a second industrial revolution, the most important was the manufacturing industry, which was mostly dependent upon the presence of the raw material. Okay, so the availability of the raw material plays a key role in the location of the industries. The raw material can be of two types. It might be a universally present raw material, or it might be some localized materials as well. Okay, so depending upon the raw material, whether the raw material is very bulky, whether it is weight losing. Okay, for example, sugarcane. Okay, sugarcane, it is a weight losing product, which is bulky, weight losing, or whether it is a perishable raw material. Depending upon that, the location of industry will be decided. Okay, perishable nowadays, for example, if I'm talking about the food processing industry. Okay, most of the food that is processed, for example, aloo ke chips hi le lo. ठीक है, no doubt potatoes last for a good amount of time. ठीक है, but some other you can talk about perishable food items which get easily degraded. Those processing of such food items, perishable, they will be located near the source region. Okay, then iron and steel industry, they require bulky raw material, they require coal, they require iron ore. So most of the iron and steel industries are located where these resources or raw materials are present. For example, in India, if I talk about, most of the iron and steel industries are located in the Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, or some areas of the West Bengal region, because there is availability of coal and iron ore belts. Then sugar industries near the sugarcane fields. For example, the most number of sugar industries we find in Maharashtra. Then second, we find in Uttar Pradesh. So these two dominant states of in terms of sugar production, all these industries are located in and around the sugar fields. Do not forget to put in the names here. In case I haven't put, you can just put in an example. Okay, then pulp industries near the forest region. Okay, the Chota Nagpur plateau has emerged in India, so depending upon the raw material. Then next we have the transport and communication factor. Second factor, transport and communication. So the more efficient the transportation network that is developed, the more industries will be located over there. Okay, so nowadays we talk about the industrial corridor region. For example, Delhi Mumbai industrial corridor region, and now recently we have also constructed a highway connecting the Delhi and Mumbai region. So most of the industries will be located or are already located around these areas. As a result of which, what will happen, the distance or the distance, virtually the distance will be minimized because you are covering the distance in less time. Okay, then not only that, the cost of transportation, India already lacks in terms of the cost to GDP transportation. The ratio is very high. It was somewhere around 14% as compared to 9 and 8% USA and China. Okay, so efficient transport network is very important factor in deciding the industrial location. You can simply put in an example of Delhi Mumbai industrial corridor. Okay, so modern globalization has increased the importance of container. Anyways, nowadays we are also talking about the multimodal transport networks. We have created some hubs, multimodal hubs are present in Jharkhand or even around Varanasi. Okay, so they are playing a key role in maintaining the efficient transport network. Then the third factor is the market factor. Okay, so industries producing, you can say, bulky, finished bulky goods. Industries producing finished bulky goods, or they are fragile, or where there is consumer oriented products, they will be located near the market. For example, food processing industries, automobile industries. For example, the two-wheeler automobile industry or even the four-wheeler automobile industry is well developed here in Pune region. Why? Because there is market available. I think in entire Asia, the largest two-wheeler market is in Pune. Okay, so automobile industry, and it is easily available over here. Consumer electronics and beverage industry. So wherever there is market availability, wherever the purchasing power is, people are ready to pay for these goods, such industries will be located near the market. Okay, then next is the availability of the labor. Not just the availability of labor, the labor should be of certain type. There should be some certain specific industries require quality labor, they require high skilled human resources. For example, if I talk about the IT sector, information technology industries, that industries won't be located at any places. They require certain skill sets. For example, we have good locations, we have Hyderabad, we have Bengaluru, then we have Gurugram. So all these places where there is high skilled labor availability, their industry located, that will be IT sector industry, okay, high tech industry, startups will be present over there. Then some industries which are completely dependent upon the human, you can say, labor skill, okay, or a little bit of educationally, sorry, the school level education, they are skilled in some other handcrafts ogra. So depending upon that, the labor availability, the industries will be located over there. For example, we have a lot of textile industries present around in UP region. Okay, so the people are skilled in hand weaving and all. Okay, they are skilled in hand weaving. No doubt, some they might be lacking in school level education, but they are skilled in their um, hand weaving things. So such textile industry will be located over there. So depending upon that, some industries have developed, regions have developed in Bangladesh, Vietnam, IT in Bengaluru. Okay, then power and energy resource. Nowadays, most of the industries, they are require, they obviously they require electricity. So depending upon the availability of power and energy resources, the industrial location will vary. For example, if I talk about the heavy metal industries, they require huge power. Okay, so most of the heavy metal industries will be immediately located near to the hydropower stations. Okay, but nowadays we are also talking about the renewable energy. Now development of renewable energy, now immediately rooftop solar energy is available in large quantity in some areas. Solar power plants are available in some city areas as well. Okay, city areas means rooftop वगैरह. So as a result of which, the location of certain industries, they get varied. Okay, but traditionally, if I talk about, the power and energy resources play a significant role. Then land availability of land, climate and water availability is also very significant. For example, India geographically is a very diverse nation. Okay, we have all geographical features, physical geographical features present over here. If you talk about the Himalayan mountain ranges, it is not industrially developed. Why? Because the land terrain is not suitable over there. The climate is also not that favorable over there. Okay, now recently, ठीक है भाई, global warming is taking place, climate is becoming more favorable in the Himalayas, but you cannot say like that because cloud burst वगैरह बहुत सारा वगैरह हो जाता है. Water availability है वहाँ पे, but the land is not that suitable. So India, huge industries, they require extensive flat land, they require water supply and favorable environmental conditions. As a result, most of the industrial region that is developed in between, you can say, UP and not BR, but recently BR is also getting developed. Okay, so UP region is very well developed with respect to industries because of the presence of extensive flat land is there, water supply is there, and also the favorable climate is present over there. Then next factor that comes into play, that is the capital and the banking facilities that should be present. See, there are many factors. Okay. In examination, it is not possible to write all the factors, but at least write some 6, 7, or even if you are able to recall 10, 11, 12 factors, do put in, don't write this entire lengthy statements over there. Just put in capital and banking facilities, and you can simply write in few important keywords like capital in insurance is there, credit facilities there, loans are easily available. Examples: Mumbai, New York, Tokyo. Okay, then government policies and regional planning. So most of the, you can say, nowadays industries, for example, the Nano, no, Tata Nano, sorry, not Tato, Tata Nano plant. It shifted from West Bengal to Gujarat because of the favorable government policies and regional planning. Okay, so you can talk about the special economic zones are being developed. For example, the gift city we have developed. Okay, so government policies and regional planning play a key role in setting up industries. And do not forget the name of the geographer. So geographer associated is Francos Peros. Okay, through the growth pole theory. So we need to, government deliberately sets up some zones in certain backward areas to ensure the overall development. That is nothing but the basic concept of this growth pole theory. Then agglomeration economies also plays a very significant role. Nowadays we find most of the industries, they are present in clusters. For example, let's say automobile industry. So automobile industry, one automobile industry, it will be manufacturing car, but they won't be manufacturing all the parts of the car. Let's say they will hand over, or they will give contract for manufacturing of tires to some other company, for making the glass of the windows to some other company. And most of the industries industries, they will be located in and around that entire region. So that plays a very significant role because it saves in the cost of production. So agglomeration economy is very very important because it saves in lot of cost of production. So examples are the Silicon Valley is there, then rural industrial, then Tokyo, shared services, skilled labor connections are present. Then technological advancements are also playing a key role in setting up in terms of industrial location. For example, the IT sector, which is a footloose industry, electronics and manufacturing hub. Then industrial inertia should be present. Initial push for industrial development should be present. If I talk about the entire India, we have good industrially developed states like Tamil Nadu is there, Maharashtra is there, Gujarat is there, Haryana is there. Why? Because the initial industrial inertia in these areas was quite good. As a result of which, these states they have industrial good presence. Okay, then some industries, even though they become very outdated, they tend to stay over there. No doubt there might be some benefits in relocating, but they tend to stay because the industrial mindset is developed of that entire region. For example, if I talk about Jamshedpur region, the entire region, the people of there, they have become habitual to over there. Okay, so the most of the industries which are present over there, they do not relocate to some other location. So industrial inertia is there. But there are some contemporary changes in terms of industrial location because of digitization, because of globalization, and even because of the important term, that is containerization. Okay, so nowadays what we find, there are multimodal hubs present. Just now we talked about, for example, Varanasi. So multimodal hubs are present, have been developed over there. Multimodal, for example, from Varanasi, there are connections, there are road connectivity has been developed, the waterways connectivity has been developed, even now the flight connectivity is being developed. So as a result of which, railways is already present over there. So we have multimodal railways, ships, and then we have roads, then we also have air connectivity. Because of this, what happened, the goods can be easily supplied or brought in with the help of containers. ठीक है, फ्लाइट से कंटेनर लेके आओ, या ट्रेन से कंटेनर्स भेजो, ट्रक से कंटेनर भेजो, या बोट से या शिप से, नॉट बोट, शिप से कंटेनर भेज दो. So containerization has been playing a key role in shifting the location of the industries. Then next is the automation which is being developed. Then renewable energy, just now I said renewable energy, nowadays we are talking about wind energy. So because of the availability of good availability of wind energy, some of the industries are getting located in the coastal areas as well. Okay, so that is also playing a key role in determining the location of industries. Okay, so there are multiple factors which are associated with the location of the industries. Write 6 7. If you are able to write all of them, 12 13 14 जो भी जितने भी, whatever you are able to recall, do not forget to give examples. It is very important because it is clearly mentioned geographical account, so do not forget to give the names of the geographers as well. Okay, then we'll move to next question. Question number 7b. Give a geographical account of functional classification of urban settlement. फिर से उसने geographical account of functional classification of urban settlement. So if we talk about the functional classification of urban settlement, it basically it is according to the dominant economic activities. Okay, most of the urban places, it is basically talking about the urban settlement. Most of the urban settlements are determined based on their economic activities. Their classification is done on the basis of their economic activities, revealing their special organization and the occupational structure. Depending upon the economy of that area, the occupational structure, the urban hierarchy within the regional system, we do take the classification. Okay, so if you talk about this particular classification, there are multiple geographers associated with it. That is, Walter Christoller is there, who talked about the central place theory. Okay, CVD model, वगैरह सारी चीजें. Then we have C.D. Harris. Then we have Howard Nelson. Then also according to the economic base theory, the urban growth depends upon the economic activities, basic economic activities. So directly jump to the types of urban settlement. So we have some are administrative towns. So what are administrative? For example, if I talk about India, Delhi is an administrative town. Then the state capitals of different states, they are nothing but they are administrative towns. That is the one classification. So all the governance, political aspects will be taking place over there. Do mention the examples. Then there are some industrial and the manufacturing towns. Just now I gave few examples. For example, Jamshedpur, then the Ruhr province. Okay, so industrial and manufacturing towns are there. Manchester is there. Okay, then commercial and financial towns. Now these are very, so there are some global cities, global towns that have developed. Okay, for example, in India we have Mumbai, then Gift City. Gift City is nothing but a commercial and a financial town. Then if I talk about New York, Hong Kong, London, they are nothing but they are commercial and the financial towns. The major activity, the major economic activity here will be financial transactions. Then there are transport and communication towns as well. Okay, some towns, for example, just now I talked about Varanasi has become a multimodal hub. Okay, so you can talk about the transport and communication connectivity is quite present, quite good over there. Such we find connectivity, mobility, warehousing, logistics services will be there, trade functions will be there. So cities in Rotterdam, Chicago, Nagpur, they have developed. Then there are some mining towns as well, okay, where the dominant economic activity is nothing but mining of raw material or mining of various resources. For example, coal mining in Raniganj that is taking place. It is nothing but a mining town. Then Dhanbad, suna hoga, gangs of Wasipur mein. So Dhanbad is there, which is a mining town. Then Johannesburg, South Africa. Then there are some religious and cultural towns present as well. ठीक है, so religious and cultural, religious वाराणसी फिर से example ले लो, ठीक है. Then you can also talk about Mecca is there, Jerusalem is there, wars वगैरह चल रही है, Vatican City. So religious and cultural, इंडिया की बात करें तो वाराणसी हुआ, फिर उसके बाद शिरडी हुआ, ठीक है. Then you can talk about Ajmer. Okay, so these are nothing but religious and the cultural towns. Then there are some educational and cultural towns which are known for their good educational facilities. For example, Pune is here we call it Vidyache Maher Ghar. Okay, so educational and cultural towns are present wherein the most dominant activity that is present, that is the education. For example, Oxford, Cambridge, universities are present. Then there are recreational and tourist towns. Nowadays, because of the increasing temperature, because of the in the summer season, most of the tourist places that we find in India in the Himachal, in the Himalayan areas. So the recreational and tourist towns that are present, that is Shimla. You can talk about Darjeeling is there. Okay, different places. Then defense and cantonment towns in India is known for its cantonments. For example, we have I think 72 cantonments, okay, which were created by the British for the defense purposes. So we have cantonment towns. Ambala cantonment is there, Mao is there, Pune here itself is present. Okay, then there are some contemporary changes also taking place in the urban functions, depending upon which the classification will change. Again, the factors are same. Globalization is taking place. Some towns, some cities, they are now classified as the global towns. They are classified as the global cities. For example, Hong Kong. Okay, it is considered as a global city. Then digital economy, metropolitan expansion, वगैरह. These also diversify or change the structure, urban structure or the classification of the towns. For example, if you talk about Bangalore, Bangalore initially it was a defense town, it was a cantonment town. But because of the availability of high skilled labor present over there, high skilled employees over there, the IT sector boomed over there. Now it has become the IT hub, not just important with respect to India, but important with respect to world as well. Okay, so innovation hub, it has been transformed. Okay, so classification, functional classification, explain specialization and the spatial organization. Okay, then we come to the next third question, question number 7C, that is explain Alfred Weber's model of industrial location. So they have simply said explain. So you have to write an entire model of Alfred Weber in detail because it is been asked for 15 marks. Okay. So if you look at this geography optional paper of MPSC, it is more static oriented, and when it comes to static oriented, you have to write a lot. Okay, so do practice answer writing because without that it will be very difficult to complete these answers. Okay, because you already know Alfred Weber's theory and it is a very lengthy theory, and the number of pages also that are provided, that are sufficient enough that if you are not having speed, that will create a problem. Okay, so Alfred Weber model of industrial location. So Alfred Weber first gave the theory, comprehensive industrial location theory, somewhere in around 1909, named as the theory of theory of location of industries. The word were a bit different. I've just written it in English. Okay. So the most important concept of Alfred Weber in his theory of location of industries, that is the least cost principle. And in his theory, he mostly focused upon the transportation cost, mostly on the transportation cost. He was not considered about the revenue generation. He was mostly talking about the cost minimization of production through transportation. Okay, least cost principle. So he simply wanted to explain the location of industries in his theory by minimizing the cost of production. So he was simply focusing on the beforehand aspect. Okay, he was not considered about the revenue of the company. The company should, nowadays we see the company focuses on more profit making, it focuses on more revenue generation. But the Alfred Weber's theory focuses upon decreasing the cost of production. Okay, so it is beforehand concept he was talking about. So to explain his theory, he made some assumptions, because he wanted to say that the industries are present only at those places where the cost of production is less. So he gave the least cost principle. For this, he made certain assumptions. Okay, first assumption that he made, that is, he's talked about the isotropic plane. So isotropic plane, he said that initially, for any industry to set up, that entire geographical area, it should be a completely plain region. There should not be presence of mountains, there should not be presence of forest, there should not be presence of rivers. You can also talk about rivers, huge rivers. Okay, so he said that there should be an isotropic plane. So if the entire geographical land is completely flat, the transportation network will be easily set up. You are setting up an industry and you are providing road connectivity to it. So as a result of which, your production cost will be less. So he made some assumptions. Beforehand, he talked about such assumptions. Then he talked about known locations. The locations of the consumer market and raw material sources are fixed. Okay. Then he talked about labor. He said that in such area which is completely flat plain, okay, there are no topographical changes, there are no climate changes taking place. Okay, in such area, the amount of labor that is present, it is present in large amount. Okay, there is abundant availability of labor, and that labor is also not moving from that area. They are not migrating to some other developed state. For example, UP people are not migrating to Tamil Nadu. Okay, so labor is geographically fixed. Then the transportation costs are direct and linear. So he said that with the increase in the distance from any industrial location, let's say the industry is located at place A, your industry is located, and there is a market at place B, and if you want to travel, send your goods from A to B, with increase in distance, the cost of production will increase. So he said, basically he said that with increase in distance, the cost of production will increase. Okay, so the transportation costs are linear. It is a linear function. It is increasing directly of two variables, weight of the item and the distance it travels. If the weight of the good that is being carried from industry to the market, if the weight of the good is very high, it is bulky product, and the distance is also large, then in that case the cost will go on increasing. Okay, so he said there is a linear relation. But nowadays in India, specifically in India, with increasing distance, the cost of transportation goes on decreasing. If and that's the case with respect to bulky goods. Okay, in India, if you talk with increasing distance, that cost of transportation goes on decreasing in India. Okay, a classic example, if I talk about, if you are bringing in crude oil from some other distant places, and if you are traveling via ships and all, the transportation cost is bare minimum. Okay, then there is perfect competition. Okay, perfect competition. So he said that, let's say there are two towns. There is town A. I'm not using the board because I'm simply explaining the questions over here. ठीक है, क्लास में वो पूरा और डायग्राम्स विग्राम्स करके देखेंगे. Okay, so there is an entire region A and entire region B, and there are some industries present over here, there are some industries present over here. ठीक है, so there is perfectly competitive market where producers are rationally. Okay, so people from B region, they won't go to A region to purchase any good. Okay, they'll be staying in that area itself, and they'll be purchasing goods from in this B area only, because by traveling to A region they'll have to pay for the transportation cost. Okay, so whatever the competition that will be developed over here, there will be a perfect competition. So the B region, most of the industries which are present in A, they will also be present in B. Most of the industries, they will also be present in the B area to maintain the competitiveness. Okay, so there is perfect competition. Then the major components, because they have asked explain, so the major component of Alfred Weber's theory, that is the transport cost principle. So as I've said, he have talked about the production, initial production. So he mostly talked about the presence of the raw materials. So he talked about the same two raw materials. Some raw materials are present throughout, some are localized. Okay, so he said that with increasing distance, the cost of production will go on increasing. Okay, then localized materials were pure and gross weight. So he gave a concept of material index to determine the industrial location. Material index was weight of localized raw material to weight of finished goods. If the material index is more than 1, that is the raw material is more important, in that case the industry will be located where raw materials are present. For example, sugarcane industry. If the material index is less than 1 or equal to 1, in that case the industry becomes market oriented, because the weight of the finished product is more. So weight of the finished product is more. He talked about only distance and weight of the good. So if the weight of the finished product is more, then in that case the industry will be located towards the market. For this to explain, he also talked about the concept of locational triangle. So basically he said that you can know the exact location where to set up an industry by simply drawing a triangle. What you do, you put in at one vertex there is a raw material, at other vertex you put in second raw material, and at the third vertex you put in the market. So the industry, the ideal location for industry will be such point where the cost of production is optimum. The ideal location for any industry where there is the cost of production is optimum. So industry which is located at this point, industry which is located at this point, it will be bringing in raw material from over here, it will be bringing in raw material from over here, and finally the finished good will be transferred to the market. So it is this point where the cost of transportation is minimized. So he explained this least cost transport through this locational triangle. But we know that most of the industries, they are not simply relying on two raw materials, they require multiple raw materials. So this was the criticism of him. Okay, they require multiple raw materials. Then in that case, where will be the industry located? It can't be located at this central point. Okay, so he said that, he gave some more details. He said that if the raw materials are more important, if the raw materials are more important, okay, they are weight losing, in that case this industry won't be located at this point, it will be located, let's say, at this point, because herein the distance to be traveled will be less, herein distance to be traveled will be less. Okay, so industrial location will keep on shifting in within this triangle. If some industry which is you can say producing bulky finished good, then the industry will be located more near to the market. Then you bring in raw material from here, bring in raw material from here and immediately supply it to the market. So depending upon what type of raw material you are using, whether it is weight losing, whether it is perishable, whether it is bulky, in that case the industry will be located towards the raw material. If the products that are produced, that are finished goods, that are bulky, they are after even after production they are perishable, in that case it will be located near the market. Okay, so if raw materials are highly weight losing, the industrial location shift towards resource region, and if the finish is bulkier and perishable, it shifts towards the market. Then he talked about the labor cost principle. Okay, labor cost is very important. So he was basically talking about beforehand, before producing. So transport cost location, then he went to the labor cost principle. So he introduced two more terms, that is isotemes and isodepane. Okay, so the lines joining points of equal transport cost, they are nothing but isotemes. Equal transport cost, same lines, equal transport cost around the optimum point. So that optimum point, that is the isodepane region. So if the labor cost savings at another location exceed, then the additional transport cost will be required. For instance, if you talk about textile industry, now textile industry is located in Bangladesh, it is located in Vietnam. Okay, here we are not considering about the transportation cost. They are supplying goods, textile finished goods from Bangladesh, Vietnam to the Europe, to India. So the distance is more, but the labor cost is very less. Okay, so transportation cost gets, you can say, compromised when the labor cost is very less. So he talked about that some industrial location depend upon the labor cost. Then he also talked about the agglomeration economies. For example, recently I gave you an example about a car. A car manufacturer, he won't look for manufacturing each and everything, mirrors, glass, then tires, tubes. He won't be looking for manufacturing everything. He will be looking, or he'll simply give contracts to some other small vendors. Okay, so that agglomeration economies, it also decides the industrial location, because we have shared services, skilled labor connection, industrial and technology innovation. Okay, so he talked about these concepts. Then significance of the Weber's theory. So he talked about the material index that helps us in knowing where to set up the industry. Then he gave the concept about the locational triangle that tells us whether to set up an industry near to the raw material or near to the market. Then he also talked about the isotems, where the industrial location will be present, where let's say the transportation cost is same across all the area, then the industry can be present at any point. Okay, where ISO depends, where the optimum cost of transportation is required. Then wherever there are agglomeration economies are present, definitely industries can be set up over there. And he talked about the cost minimization principle. Okay, then there were some criticisms and limitations associated with this theory. They have asked for explain, so write everything. First of all, he talked about the unrealistic transportation cost. He said that the transportation cost goes on increasing in a linear manner with increase in distance. With increase in distance from A to B, the transportation cost goes on increasing, as a result of which the industries won't be located over there then. Okay, so but this is not the reality. As I've said, in India, with increasing distance, the cost of transportation goes on decreasing. Okay, then nowadays we are also talking about the multimodal hubs are also present, which are even helping in decreasing the cost of transportation. Then he also ignored about the revenue and the demand. Okay, he was focusing only on the production thing. He wasn't thinking about revenue. Okay, he was saying that all the industries will always tend to minimize the cost of production, but nowadays we know that industries, they are focusing more upon generating more revenue. Okay? As a result of which, most of the industries, they are now coming towards the market. They are now located towards the market. Okay. For example, if I talk about some iron and steel industries, they are utilizing recycled steel. Okay. And they are, we know that steel is mostly used in urban areas. In rural areas, we even today we find most of the earthen pots being used for cooking and other purposes. But if you talk about, steel is mostly used in urban areas, so most of the industries, they are locating nearer to the you can say urban areas, iron and steel industries as well. Okay, so just because to generate more revenue, and they are using the recycled iron ore, they are using recycled steel. Okay, so ignored the revenue and the demand, and focused only on the decreasing the transportation cost. So geographers like August Losh, he criticized it. Then there were static assumptions that he made. Okay, so he said that the labor is static, the labor is not moving to other places, and the labor is present in abundant. Then the wages are also fixed. He didn't talked about the unions, migration, and all. Then oversimplified geography, he talked about the isotropic plane. There are no geographical changes, no topographical changes, no climate change, no environmental changes. So he simplified the geography. Okay, so write some criticisms, but despite its being quite old, more than 100-year old, the industrial location theory, still it is significant because it gives us about you can say a base understanding about the industrial location. Still it is relevant because most of the industries, some of the industries, you can say, they are still located where there are raw materials present. For example, classic example is the sugarcane industry. Okay, you cannot okay, sugar demand is very high in the urban areas, so you cannot bring in the sugar industry nearer to the urban areas. You will have to keep the sugar industry near to its raw material, that is sugarcane itself. Wherever there are sugarcane fields, then and there only you will find the sugarcane in sugar producing industry. Okay, so still his theory is relevant, and the basic raw material required for sugar industry, that is sugarcane and power. So only two resources are required, so two resources, so you can immediately utilize the concepts or talked about by Alfred Weber. So no doubt, despite being old, despite being its criticism, still his theory is relevant mostly for some of the resources. Okay, then I'll cover next questions, geographical account of distribution. I'll cover this in next video. Okay, because I have shortage of time. Okay. So if you have any doubts, any queries with respect to geography optional, you can contact Step Up Academy. Okay, all these things I've covered it in brief. We'll be talking about more details about such theories in our regular optional batches. Okay, which will be starting from, I think, in July. Okay, so I'll stop this session over here. If you have any doubts, any queries, do let me know. Thank you.